So, as I mentioned, the specialty memory is in the bottom of the this picture. It represents the kind of 5 billion memory market, about 3% of the total memory in 2018. So this slides give you like a relative size and the significance of the specialty memory. So you can see the market opportunity of the specialty memory is between the DSP chip and the FPGA. And for the sensor, right? Sensor is everywhere in your life right now. So sensor represents like a 13 billion USD revenue, and specialty memory is again 5 billion in 2018. So it's still quite a good size. Yeah. So for the future growth of the specialty memory, I give you 2 examples. One is that for example, in DRAM, most of the capacity will convert to the 3D NAND. So the 2D NAND become a specialty memory. And for the emerging memory, this stands for I think non-volatile random access memory. So this is different types of memory: NVSRAM, FRAM, XPoint, NRAM, NRAM, RRAM, NRAM, nanotube RAM. So it starts from very small value, very small revenue, but in the future it will become, hopefully it will become mainstream. So this is the trend of the specialty memory. So in specialty memory, this is I'll give you an idea about the dynamics. So mainstream memory, NAND and DRAM. So for some new technology, it might have a chance to become mainstream if the cost or every perspective makes sense. However, for some technology, it always stays in the specialty memory domain, like FRAM and the NVSRAM. It never becomes very big. And for some technology, like 2D NAND, NOR flash, SRAM, it was very dominant in the memory industry. But right now, it's just small. It's just a small piece of the revenue in the industry. So you can see everyone wants to become a mainstream memory, but actually it's very challenging. You need to meet the requirements from everyone. Okay, so specialty memory by technology type. So you can see I highlight the new technology like XPoint, NRAM, and RRAM. So you can see the difference between the legacy specialty memory such as NVSRAM, FRAM, and I would say FEVAT. So it's between new and FRAM technology is kind of between new and old. And the emerging specialty memory like these four guys. So the most promising candidates are the NRAM, RRAM, and the XPoint. Okay, so in the last sector, I will introduce the emerging memory status and its market opportunity. So you can see this figure is the ASP. ASP means the average selling price. Average ASP of the DRAM and the NAND. After this point, after like 2000 something, 2002, 2001, it's kind of split. It becomes there's a gap between the NAND and the DRAM. So we believe, the industrial people believe there's an opportunity for the new memory to come in and fit this gap. So so that's why many technologies are studied from NRAM, RRAM, 3D XPoint. So memory, the application is very simple. So you make memory for storage purpose, right? So if you can achieve this purpose with the lowest cost, then it's good enough. So the cost is always very important and sensitive in the memory industry. So that's why people study this ASP trend. And when this gap was found, people try to fill up this gap by the new memory. And there's one type of new memory called storage class memory. I believe it's proposed by IBM around like 15 or 10 years ago. And the concept of this storage class memory is assumed that it's inserted between DRAM and the SRAM. So the density, the density of the SCM, storage class memory, must be between DRAM and the NAND. The latency, the performance of this memory must be between DRAM and the NAND. And most importantly, the cost must be between DRAM and the NAND. If you can satisfy these three conditions, and you can make a reasonable, I would say, a competitive storage class memory. So in the past 10 to 20 years, people try very hard to make this happen. But to date, I believe there's only one technology satisfy these conditions, which is 3D XPoint, developed by the Micron and the Intel. And this technology was announced in 2015, but it's still not everywhere. I would say not become mainstream to date. Okay, so and in the HCM, people try to give it more details by classifying the HCM into two categories. So if the performance is closer to the DRAM, it's called HCM-M, so memory type. And if the performance is closer, which means slower, is closer to NAND, it's called storage type HCM, so HCM-S. So this is some numbers for your reference. Okay, so this is from my point of view, this is the status of emerging memory. So it's a very famous, it's called HyperChart. So there's a third-party market research institute called Gartner. So every year they will update the technology and put the technology on this curve and try to tell you which status of this technology. So if we look at the RN, right now the RN is kind of it's just kind of dropped down from the peak. So a few years ago, for example, when we studied PhD, everyone said RN will replace 3D NAND, but no one said this right now because it's almost impossible from the 3D from the technology point of view. So right now the RN is at this stage, and the NRAM. So NRAM is I believe is very promising because the three major foundries are trying to promote this technology, including TSMC, Samsung, and Global Foundry. They all promote this technology as 22 nanometer. And the phase change memory. So you already probably know the 3D XPoint. Its fundamental technology is the phase change memory, but it's added the selector. So Intel name is 3D XPoint. But so I believe it's very promising because Intel can, I would say, it's defined a gain rule in the semiconductor. So if he wants to promote something, the success opportunity is very, very high. Okay, but I also want to give you some fact. Usually the time to market for the new memory is often delayed. So this chart, this figure summarizes the delay. So for example, Micron and the Sony work together on the RN, but this project got stopped, got canceled a few years ago. And there's a company called Everspin. It's the first company to deliver the commercial MRAM chips. It's always announced the product, and then the product will come out after 3 years or 2 years. So that's the very interesting fact. And Avalanche is also MRAM vendor. Abesto is the RN player. It was famous for the CBRAM, conduction bridge random access memory. But right now, its focus is not a memory component anymore. It's become a solution and the sales marketing oriented company. So you can see it's not easy to develop a new technology. Why? So because in your textbook and in your course, you learn the every advantage of the new technology, but why is not available in the industry? I summarized a few points here. So first, as I mentioned, the application for memory is storage, right? So if the density is not big enough, then it limits your application. And the second is that as I mentioned, the new memory development is always delayed. For example, 3D close point, it was announced in 2015, 4 years ago, but it's not very popular right now. So that means Intel and Micron feel the resistance as well. And the third one is easy to understand, right? There's a lot of technical challenges. And for the embedded application, the big foundries try not to push the technology so hard because it's very expensive. If it's expensive, it's very difficult for them to find customers. And the customers usually refuse to accept the new technology because of the risk consideration. For example, in the last generation of product, I use the eFlash, and it's very stable, reliable, and the customers are very happy. Unless it's necessary, they try not to change the technology because if you change the technology, it will cost you a lot of time and the resource to do the qualification. And the qualification, trust me, is a very, very painful process in the industry. And for the big memory players, this is very tricky. So for example, if you find one technology and claim that, okay, it can replace the DRAM, but the reality is, okay, Samsung makes a lot of money from DRAM. Why Samsung want to promote this new technology, right? So this is I would say reality right now. And for the, as I mentioned earlier, the NAND and the DRAM, the advancement is still continuing. So we thought 10 years ago, DRAM and the NAND will hit the physical limitation, but it doesn't happen now. So these two technologies are doing very well. And another viewpoint from the market perspective is there is still no killer application for this new memory. For example, there is no application that only new memory can do, but the mature or legacy technology cannot do. So there is still no such application available. Okay, so these slides give you the introduction of the players of each new memories. So you can see they are very crowded in NRAM, STT-MRAM, and the RRAM, however, Memristor, Oxygen, vacancy RAM, CDRAM. So there are many companies in these two technologies, but not many in the phase change and the XPoint. Only Intel and the Micron, but I heard the Korean players are trying to follow up. And for the FE-FAT and other technology like nanotube RAM, there are a few companies, but I believe they are minority right now. Okay, and this slide summarizes the three technology, PCM, STT-MRAM, and the RRAM status of the four memory players. So for the last one is a kind of a partnership between the Toshiba and the Western Digital. So you can see from another point of view, these big memory players cannot identify which technology will be successful in the future. So the best way, and they have a good resource, right? They invest each of them. So this is the status, either by the merger and acquisition investment, or they work with other partners. So I won't go through the details here. So basically, I'll tell you the key message. So even for the big memory vendors, don't know what happened of the new memory technology in the future. So they try to secure all of the opportunities. Okay, and we did some internal study and try to tell you how difficult to introduce a new memory technology to the industry. So according to our study, you need to develop this technology for more than 10 years. You spent more than 100 million USD dollars in order to introduce this memory technology to the market, starting from niche market, specialty memory sector. So this blue bar represents the NRAM technology company, and this yellow color represents the RN technology company, and this one is a little bit special. It has been in the industry for 20 years. It's nanotube based technology. So you can see most of them already spend more than 100 million USD dollars, and I can tell you each of them are there for more than 10 years, and they are still very struggling right now. Okay, so this is the standalone memory position in terms of the price and the scalability, and there are some I would say the matrix like speed, density, endurance. So you can see the price becomes more and more expensive, and but if you spend more money, you will get the more. I would say this is the density. Sorry, this is the density position. So you can say NAND is very cheap. So and it's follow the orders here. So basically, it's very difficult to compete with NAND and the DRAM in cost. That's why they are mainstream. Okay, and for the embedded memory position, so STT-MRAM. So you can see STT-MRAM is this green line, and it's offer a combination of the I would say persistence, so non-volatility, and the low power consumption, high speed, and the high endurance. So it's probably the most promising embedded memory. And for the RN, TSMC at 40 nanometer also offers the embedded RN solution. And for some study, STT-MRAM can be used for the SRAM application, but I believe it's probably take more than 5 years to achieve this purpose. So because for SRAM, as you know, it's very fast. It's volatile, right? When you power off, then data are gone. So basically, the retention requirement is very low. But for the E-flash replacement for the STT-MRAM, you require the good retention, right? It's basically the opposite direction in the R&D area. So it's very difficult to, I would say, develop the same technology into the two different direction of the applications. Okay, and this is the chip size. As I mentioned, the density is very important. You have a more density, you have a big density chip, then you have a bigger market opportunity. So you can see the NAND is certainly dominate, and followed by the 3D cost point. 3D cost point is between DRAM and the NAND. That's why I call it a successful storage class memory. And this is the 3D cost point product overview. So Intel first introduced this technology in 2015, and the name is brand Optane. But after 4 years, I think the market is still limited. And I think last week, Micron announced another brand of this 3D cost point. It's called X100. So basically, they share the similar technology, but after the product optimization, they show very different specs. So to my knowledge, the X100 is faster than the Optane product by probably 10 orders, order of 10. Yeah. Okay. So this is the application roadmap. So there are too many details, but just remember the E-flash is still the mainstream, and but below the 28 nanometer, there is no good solution. for the embedded memory. So other new technology may have opportunity like NRAM and RRAM. And this is the application of the emerging memory. So you can see in a standalone space from the low density to the high density. So eventually we hope the new memory can replace the NAND, but it's very difficult. Right now I think we are still at this stage. So small density application, and for embedded area, so some MCU already carry the new memory. For example, in 2013, the MCU manufactured by the Panasonic has the RRAM technology on the chip. So, but because of many reasons, the market is still very limited. Okay, and this is the potential total addressable market for the emerging memory. So it's the content is a little bit repeated, but presented in different ways. So just for your reference, so you can see if you have a bigger chip density, you can do more things. You can replace the mainstream opportunity. But if you only have a small density, not only the application is limited, but also the price per gigabit, your bit cost is also very high. So it's not very good for you to do business. And this is the current trend of the emerging memory strategy. So it tells you that either the NRAM 3D XPoint or other new technology providers, they work with the module, either the module house or the foundries, in order to achieve the end customers, the system or the system provider. So basically, you probably know this story, right? You put people in the host and send the host into the city, and at night people come out from the host and take over the city. So basically, this organization describe the emerging memory using this story. Okay, so again, so this is the summary of the emerging memory market. So exchange memory has a big opportunity because it's promoted by the Intel and the Micron. They are big companies. They are the GAN rule. They can define the GAN rule. And the STT and RAM is probably the most promising embedded memory technology or solution in the future, below the 28 nanometer. And so you need to aware of the density and the bit cost in order to make the new memory technology very successful. And finally, in 2000, even in 2023, emerging memory will still remain below 3% of the memory market, according to this market analysis institute. So, so sometimes you have to acknowledge the mature technology are still very strong, because we put so many resources and make sure the advancement of this DRAM and NAND can continue. So very difficult to beat or compete with that. Okay, so finally, I would like to thank Professor Yu to give me this opportunity and share this information with you. And I also want to thank my boss, is the chairman of my company, to support the emerging memory program at my company. And this material are prepared by my two colleagues in California, Ms. Han Wang and Dr. Zheng Xu. So last, I want to spend 5 minutes to introduce my company. So, so Giga Device Semiconductor company, actually we started from the Silicon Valley and also in the garage. We have two founders. They raised a small amount of money from the angel fund, but after 1 year they burned out all of the money. But they wanted to continue the journey So they moved the headquarters back to Beijing in 2005. And right now we have a global. We have 800 people. We don't have a factory. We are a pure design house, fabless business model. And we went IPO in Shanghai Stock Exchange in 2016. And right now we are probably the largest memory vendors in China. And not only the memory product line, we offer the microcontroller unit and the sensor product. So he's done like a leadership fact. And this is our revenue growth from 2013 to 2018, and this year probably we will achieve probably 30. So the y-axis is the RMB. So you need to time 100 million. Okay, and this is our global organization. So we started from China. Our main R&D centers are in 4 cities: Beijing, Shanghai, Xi'an, and Hefei. And we have multiple sales office in Asia, including Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Singapore. And in USA, we expanded very fast. So from Silicon Valley to Dallas and to Boston. And we opened the office in London 3 years ago. So this is our major product lines. So we offer the flash solution, MCU, ARM-based 32-bit MCU. And this year we acquired one company in Shanghai, and this company becomes one of our business units. It offers the sensor technology, including the fingerprinting sensor and the touch controller. So, and this is the applications we want to address and provide a value for our customers. Last slide. So I'll show you how crazy the stock market is in China. So our IPO price is 1.88 USD in 2016. I believe it's August. And after 3 years, you can see the stock yesterday was about 20 something, and the peak value was 25 something. So in the past 3 years, our market cap increased by more than 10 times. Yeah. So that's all. Thank you.